Machine Pencil Cartography. This channel's goals involve discussing navigation in diverse contexts. Some of my hopes for future machine pencil videos will be examining topics such as anaerobic exercise during navigational courses, and these discussions could not be supported without the addition of these seemingly unrelated concepts, as these concepts will make up our scientific foundation. For the purposes of examining anaerobic exercises, we may be required to explain this phenomenon from an anatomical and physiological perspective. For the purposes of fulfilling these examinations, we may be required to perform chemical and microbiological examinations, as failing to cover our scientific foundations may severely hinder our ability to thrive in our navigational discipline. The truth about navigation is that this is a complex scientific discipline that involves examining the subject matter, podiatry, on many MereoTopological scales. We will examine what physiological effects were occurring at the human scale, and we will perform research about these behaviors. What we will discover is that our key insights will be observed at the microbiological scale. This type of examination is considered a MereoTopological examination, and the philosophy behind this examination could be better understood if you research something called a Lebesgue examination. So here we go. In the first place, we will discuss what was going on at the mesoscale. This involves a domain of examination that is the same size as the hectare-size grid. These will capture geographical facts such as the weather, and may also capture any physiological effect present in the geographical setting, especially chemical details. Next, we will hold a discussion of podiatry in terms of what was going on at the anthropological scale. This scale is the size of the whole pedestrian, and the most impactful illustrations of the anthropological scale will be free body diagrams of the pedestrian, or they might be anthropomorphic mannequins and ergonomes, because these illustrations are appropriate to demonstrate mechanics that occurred at the anthropological scale. The final type of examination will be even smaller than the anthropomorphic scale, and we will examine the behavior of a pedestrian on the cellular level. So, this will represent the physiology of the pedestrian at the cytological scale. After all, there are many known microscopic effects that are best understood using the lessons that were given to us by microbiologists and chemists. In the final examination, we will be able to examine the physical system in each of the MereoTopological scales, and we may be able to offer explanations for how the pedestrian will exceed their physical limitations in specific navigational contexts, in ways where the physical explanations were inherently chemical in nature. One scenario where the pedestrian may experience a failure that was inherently chemical in nature would be when the pedestrian was hiking at the top of a very tall mountain, like perhaps Mount Everest. At extreme altitudes like this, the air pressure is not high enough to support the physical activities of hikers, and for this reason, the hikers would experience mysterious physical effects while operating at such extreme altitudes. We can examine this example, and we will find that there was some combination of low air pressure and that the pedestrians' bodies were also unable to survive with the concentrations of oxygen present in the environment. The cause of this phenomenon was inherently geographical, since we can chart the air pressure and oxygen content in the air using a meteorological chart, which will describe the exact conditions present at each altitude. Finally, we can observe the effects that were apparent at the anthropomorphic scale, such as the pedestrian's apparent inability to breathe. They will become unable to move or exert major physical exercise, and they will eventually become bedridden. We will seemingly be unable to find what was wrong with their behavior. This is because the exact physical source of this failure occurred at the cytological level, and we might require a microscope to examine and research the exact mechanism of failure. These symptoms are related to acute mountain sickness and reflect the medical condition called agonal breathing. If these symptoms continue to worsen, the acute mountain sickness might result in complete apnea, and mountain sickness will eventually result in death. The best way to examine the behavior of these physical symptoms on many MereoTopological scales is to maintain a HoloMorphic examination. Using this technique, we will simultaneously examine the behaviors of cells as if they were inside of a petri dish or being examined under the microscope, and we will draw conclusions about the behaviors of these microbiological specimens. Our observations will reveal emergent relationships between the behaviors of these microbiological specimens and the behavioral limitations of the pedestrian at the anthropological scale. Thank you guys for listening. This has been Machine Pencil Cartography, signing out.